Hi, I'm Allie. I'm a business owner in tech, and I'm here to share some things with you today that you might find helpful. So today we are talking about exposure. If you've freelanced in tech or elsewhere, you've probably heard this concept of at the beginning of your career, maybe when you haven't done a lot of work yet, you've been doing your work for a short period of time, people might come to you and ask you for free work and insist that the exposure that you get from doing that work is going to be worth your while, right? That it doesn't matter that you're not getting paid in money because the exposure, the attention that you're going to get, the number of people that I'm going to put you in front of, you're going to have work for months in advance because of this project. It is a thing that people really like to do. There are countless examples of DMs and text messages and all of this sort of stuff out there to show that people really do think that this is acceptable. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about why this is so bad, why this is such a shitty thing to do, how to respond when people do reach out to you and ask you to do exposure work, but also I want to challenge it a little bit and talk about the times when doing work for exposure can actually be a good thing, when it can actually work out in your favor, but how to know when to recognize those times. So let's start with the negative, the bad side of this, right? Asking somebody to do something for free basically tells them that you think that their work is not valuable, that it doesn't have value. Maybe that it has value to you as the person who needs the work, but that you don't think it has financial, monetary value, that you don't have empathy for the fact that this person has spent time learning how to do whatever this thing is. They have to take time to do whatever the thing is, produce the product or the service, and they have expenses to take care of, not only business expenses, but home living expenses, right? If you're asking somebody to do exposure work, you're completely denying the fact that they need money to live, right? That they need money to survive, and that their service or product has real tangible value in terms of money. The hidden message of this video is don't ever ask anybody to do work for exposure, okay? When you do this, you're asking somebody to work on faith, to work on the belief, the hope, the chance that this exposure, right? And I'm using air quotes for exposure every time because usually there is no real exposure, right? You probably won't get all of that business that that person is promising you, right? But they are asking you to take that leap of faith and to just sort of blindly believe them. And I don't know about you, but a lot of times these requests come from complete strangers, people who might DM you on social media, send you an email or a contact message through your website, and insist on not paying you. But it can also come from people that you know. I've had old friends, lifelong friends, childhood friends reach out to me, ask for a website for pretty much nothing because they're trying to do me a favor. It also makes the assumption that you, as the content creator, service provider, need the exposure, right? Yeah, when we're first starting out, it is helpful to have other people's eyes on our work so that we can get more work. But I think it's really unfair to assume that somebody is in that position, that they are in a position where they cannot get clients anywhere else and that they're desperate for this exposure opportunity. That is so condescending. That is so rude and so presumptuous, right? And so, yeah, if you've ever had that offer given to you, I'm sure you've probably felt a little bit like, well, thanks so much for this handout that you assume you're giving me. Maybe I don't need it, But I did want to talk about, despite all of that, why getting work for exposure or doing work for exposure can actually sometimes be a good thing. Now, I want to preface this by saying that what I'm about to say does not apply to every single exposure work offer, right? If you need the money if you believe you are genuinely worth the money, if you believe that this opportunity is not going to bring you any other good than what the financial compensation is going to be, or if you just don't feel like it, if you don't get good vibes from this person, don't say yes. But I want to argue that there are times when you can say yes and it can work out. Not getting any money out of a project doesn't mean that you can't get something from it, but you have to decide if what you can get out of this project is worth the loss of that income. Examples of like good exposure work might come if you really are just starting out and you don't have any other leads or prospects right now, and you can see that this person has, a following or has a really wide network, that if you work with them, you will get some degree of exposure. If you can see proof of that, right, then it might be worth it to you if you're in a position where you're not really getting very much other work. So for example, when I first started out, I designed websites for friends and family for pretty much nothing. And that was my exposure work, because I knew that those websites would get in front of other people, that they would show off their websites to their friends, and that exposure was really valuable to me in the first 6 months or so of my business. So I made that effort. However, those were all people that I knew, that I trusted, and that I knew if they could pay me more, that they absolutely would, that they wanted to support me in the transition I was making into becoming a freelancer. But doing that work for exposure was absolutely worth it to me, and I knew that. Other examples of good exposure work could be something that's low effort for you. So, designing, building a whole entire website. If you create things, if you're a painter, or maybe you sew clothes, or I don't know, any of those things, make jewelry, whatever. If that work takes you a good amount of time, it might not be worth it. But if it's something short and simple, for example, speaking at a conference, that might take you an hour to prepare a talk and then 30 minutes to deliver it, doing that for free might work out for you, because you will literally be in front of X number of people, right? That's information you should get. You'll have the opportunity usually to network with those people, talk to those people, and potentially get business from those people in the long run. So I always think that something like speaking at a conference, so long as it's something that you feel like you don't have to put a lot of money or time or energy into actually making that happen, I think that's a great opportunity. Also, as you build your business, doing exposure work or pro bono work for nonprofits or charities is a fantastic idea. Not only does it nourish your soul by allowing you to give something back into your community, but it looks good. I'm not gonna lie, okay? It looks good to other people. It's a good marketing move to support people who need your services. And so that might be giving a huge discount, or it might be doing it for free. But the exposure of that and what that means for you can be very, very impactful. So it really all comes down to the context and the circumstances around whatever that given project is, whether or not you want to say, fuck you, pay me, or whether you want to cut them a break and kind of take that gamble on additional business coming in from that project. I want to close this out by giving you a couple of examples of ways to say no when somebody asks you to do free work. So go back to that person who DM'd you on Instagram and is promising you that, if you design a t-shirt logo for them, their music career is about to blow up and your logo will be all over the world, right? Probably not going to happen. It might, probably not. I always like to start with, thank you for thinking of me, or thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for considering me for this project, right? Despite the fact that we probably don't want to work with this person, we don't want to come off as an asshole. We don't want to come off as bitchy. We don't want to come off as, thinking that we're better than them, because we're not. We're all the same, right? So start with a little bit of gratitude that they considered you for this project. Right now, I'm not offering any large discounts or pro bono offers on my work. So that can be a little tricky, because that might insinuate that in the future you might be doing free work, but it's a good way to soften the blow a little bit instead of just saying absolutely no way. you can kind of turn the language back on them and kind of remind them what you're asking me for is free work. Okay, it's not exposure work. It is discounted and or free work that you're asking me for, and I'm not doing that right now, right? So right now, not offering any large discounts or pro bono work. However, I would also then link to my pricing. Here's how much I charge. So here's a link to my services page or my products page or my pricing page. Here's the option I recommend for you, right? Hey, you're looking for a t-shirt logo. I have a small package, not very expensive, where I can build you a fantastic logo. This seems like it would be well suited to your needs. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about starting on that package. Or if you know that you do have some sort of sale or discount, maybe there's a Black Friday thing coming up, something like that, you can say, hey, if you're looking to save a bit of money on this, here's what I can offer you in terms of a discount. But that this is a discount that I have as a business and not a discount that I'm giving you because you convinced me, right? You want to keep that power in the conversation. You are the service provider. They need something from you, okay? And a lot of times the person might fight back a little bit, right? They might try to give you reasons as to why you should do this work for them for free. And this all depends on how far you want to push this conversation. Personally, I think that if this person is fighting you on your prices, it's just not a conversation to have. You have so many better and bigger things to do than argue with somebody about why they shouldn't pay you. So I might just stop replying right then and there. If you want to have the conversation, you can always say, look, I spent X number of years honing my skill. I have roughly this amount of business expenses. It takes me this much time to design a logo. That's why they're so good. Or if you create something that's physical, it takes each bracelet or whatever that I make, I spend this much in materials. Okay? Like, give them a brief breakdown of why exactly you charge what you charge. Prove to them that your product or service has value, because obviously they don't see it. And if they don't see it even after you've described what goes into your work, I really recommend just cutting the conversation off right there. So I hope you never get one of these messages, because honestly, they suck. But if you do, I hope you feel a little bit more empowered now to know how to deal with it. So see you next time.